Hello and welcome to today's episode of the Work at Home Rockstar Podcast. I am talking to a career ownership coach with Entrepreneur Source. And what she does is she helps senior corporate professionals, typically at the director level and above, to transition from corporate careers to business ownership through franchising. Super excited to be rocking out today with Maja Taylor. Hey, Maja, you ready to rock?
I am. Hi, Tim.
Hi. We always start off here in a good note. So tell me a story of success that we can be inspired by.
Story of success. I will get into that after I first want to say to your listeners
Mm,
that go support Tim. Tim and I share a passion of helping people launch their own businesses, become business owners and entrepreneurs. I really love the great work that you're doing, Tim. I think more people need to hear your stories and your interviews,
thank you.
and the wonderful guests that you have on. So please, if you're listening right now and you haven't done it yet, give Tim a 5-star rating so he can continue the great work that he's been doing. And I am thrilled to be on with you today because we share that passion. I feel the future is in entrepreneurship.
Hmm.
So,
Hmm. Thank you.
um, and I appreciate you having me on. So, success story, a recent success story. There's so many. I have the best clients. I have to say that. Most people come to me at a time when they're at a crossroads going through a transition. Either they're really feel stuck or frustrated in their career, or they have been let go, capsized, downsized, right-sized. Um, and through challenges in the job market or their job search, I mean, there's a lot of uncertainty in the market right now. I hear crazy stories every day from my clients. So I was working with this one gentleman. Um, I think we worked together for 6 to 8 months, and he had been looking for work for almost a year, not quite, and had gotten to a point where, when he went through all the stages of frustration, and then felt pretty defeated. So when we met, he was at a real low. I would say depressed.
Okay.
Some calls that he jumped on, it felt like, he was late or, maybe just came out of bed because it was like, what's the use? Why am I even getting up? Why am I still doing this? Nobody wants to hire me. And he had an incredible background. He was an engineer. By training, he had managed teams, really successful mid-level, career professional into going into senior level career professional, and just couldn't land anything. So we started working together, and it was really just helping him see his greatness and his strengths and his skills again, and
Yeah.
trying to focus again back on what he really came here on this planet to do, because I
Mm,
think he had lost sight of that. I'm
hmm.
a pretty spiritual person. I think it's important to be really clear on what you want to do while you're here. um, the only thing that we can't get more of is time, right? Time is precious.
Yeah.
Right here, right now counts. So we focused all the energy on what he really wanted to do, and I helped him craft a vision and some goals. What does he need from his career to live the life that he wants to live? And he had several aha moments and points of clarity, and we found a business that really helped him achieve what he wants to achieve. He has now chosen a pet sitting, dog walking business, which
Yeah.
is very different from his background, right? Now, this was a journey, it didn't happen overnight. And the beautiful part is that his 2 kids are working it with him. So it's now a family business, and he always wanted that to spend more time with the kids. So now his daughter and his son are working with him, in that business. They all love animals. And this is not something that he was even looking at when we started talking. So I guess, what is the moral of the story? Be open to the opportunities that present to you
Mm.
as you're exploring your what you never know what might be around the next corner, and just be open to learn and explore. And you never know what might happen. So he is now an entrepreneur and is done with the job market. It's funny. He had some choice phrases for the last interviews that he had, which I will not repeat here. But it's just so great to see somebody just completely blossom and bloom from when we met, just, 6 months prior, where he thought his life was over. So anything can happen if you're open.
Yeah. So why do you think he thought his life was over? Like what do you think got him into that position? Was it just that the identity of losing the job or whatever it was, or
Well, I mean, identity was part of it, I'm sure. Um, but money is what people worry
yeah,
about, right? If you
yeah,
don't have income and you can't afford the things that um you need to do, want to do. I mean, he was okay. He had prepared properly, which that's important in business, right? You got to prepare properly.
yeah,
But just not being able to see a future for himself, I think that was the biggest showstopper.
yeah.
So I'm happy that I was able to help him with that.
Well, I think it's interesting because if he did prepare, then I mean, it's almost like in a way that might have been one of the reasons why he couldn't get out of bed. Because it's like if you're in like panic mode where you lost your job, you need to go get money right now, well then you're gonna be motivated. But having that little cushion might have actually kind of made him go like, well, I don't have to get up right now. And then it just kind of puts you into this depression. And now you're not sure where you're going. But it's
Mm,
so fortunate that he ended up having somebody like you that could kind of talk him through things. Because sometimes it's tough. It's tough to think about what's next, right? When you've been doing something for so long, right?
right. It is. And entrepreneurship is a team sport. So it wasn't just me, right? I referred him to other resources to help him.
Good.
Um, but what I'm seeing is that especially with men, the job, the
Mm,
career is tied to identity, and
yep.
it's often tougher for men to come kind of dig themselves out of the hole. So asking for help is hard, right?
Yep. Yep. Yeah.
So
I didn't want to say that. I didn't want to be like, well, men versus women, all that stuff. But I agree with you. Like
I
it's
mean, women
it's
have it
different
too,
for
right?
men.
But yeah, it is different for men
Yeah,
because, you're the provider, the protector, and I must, for the family. I mean, he had kids still, right? That needed his help.
yeah,
So yeah,
yep. But yeah. So now along your journey, though, I mean, sometimes things don't go as planned. So there are some bad
that
notes
is
that we might
true.
hit. And you know what? But those failures, we'll say, those are
Yep,
some of the things that keep people out of doing something. They are scared to get
yep,
started. So I like
yep,
to talk about them because hey, you're still here, right?
yep.
After all those things, can you share with us something that didn't go as planned? Maybe something that we can learn from?
Oh, yeah. So failure is good. I'm going to just say that, right?
Yeah.
Fail fast. If you're going to fail often, fail fast,
Mm-hmm.
right? And this has me go back. So I was thinking about that question, right? In my current business, I have not yet experienced failure because the prior ones had lots of failure. So I'm
Ha
going
ha
to
ha
rewind.
ha.
I'm going to rewind and go back to my 20s. I'm not going to tell you how old I am right now, but it's a bit ago, where my naivete and failure to prepare financially really bit us. So married, 20s. I had a 2-year-old. We were exiting. He was leaving the army, so I was the army spouse. Let's just say that. We were moving back east, um, because he had promises of a job there.
Hmm.
And getting out of the military is a transition for an active military member. It is definitely a change. And we did not prepare financially well because, well, we didn't have a lot of money. And I remember the moment sitting in our brand new town where we didn't really know anyone or anything on the main strip in some pizza joint. I don't even remember what it was. Pizza Hut, Little Caesars, one of those, right? And we
Right.
spent our last $10 on a pizza. It was
Wow.
me, him, and the baby, or well, 2-year-old, not quite a baby. Um, And I remember it hitting me. I'm sitting, it's like, oh my gosh, we don't know where our next meal is going to come from. He hadn't started his job yet. We had just kind of sort of moved into an apartment. Um, and like what's tomorrow? Like, what are we going to do tomorrow? So we had a couple of groceries at home, but then having to rely on close family who wired us money, sent us money, gift
Wow.
cards to help us get through those initial weeks in our new town, that was very humbling. And that I would just remember sitting in that restaurant then, and I was like, this will never happen to me again. This will
Mhm.
never happen to me again. So the lesson for me was, that kind of fear of, oh my gosh, what's happening tomorrow? How am I going to pay for breakfast tomorrow? What am I going to feed my kid? Um, Really helped me just prepare better financially when I transitioned into business. So I don't necessarily tell this story to my clients, but well, now they'll know it's on the podcast. But it's if you have the desire to go into business for yourself, which I applaud you, go do that. It's
Yeah.
amazing. Um, but it's not easy. If it was easy, everybody would do it.
Yeah.
Most businesses fail because of lack of money, right? So set yourself up for success. So there's lots of recommendations out there. In my case, I pre-planned when I left my corporate job. I pre-planned to be good for a year in my personal budget and the business budget. If I don't
Wow.
make any money for a year, I knew I was going to be okay. Because when you're focused on the worry or afraid that you don't know how to pay the bills for the next month, for you either personally or the business bills, then you're not focused on the right things. You're not focused on growth. You're not focused on, getting out into the world, the great service that you do or the product that you have for people that's going to help them, right? You're doing others a disservice by not showing up and giving you a gift. And therefore you can't get paid, right? I want you to be out there thinking and planning and doing the thing that you're good at and get it out into the world. And when there's lack of money, you can't do that. So prepare financially, please.
Yeah. Yeah,
Yes.
you act different too when you don't have money, right? Like, isn't
Yes.
your sales process just a
Yes.
little bit kind of wonky a little
Desperate.
bit? Yeah.
Desperate. Don't be desperate. No, people can smell that.
Yeah. Yeah, exactly. And it's not that the irony is that it's not that you're bad at what you do. You probably are very, very good at what you do, but if you
Yeah.
sound desperate, they're not going to want to hire you for some reason. It's just they
Mm-hmm.
can feel it on you, right?
Yeah.
It gives it kind of like a red flag, right?
Mm-hmm. It does.
Now, a
Definitely.
year in advance, pretty good.
So I am very conservative. I
Yeah.
know there's some people who say, oh, have 3 months cash flow or
Yeah.
6 months cash flow. For me, that wasn't comfortable enough because of that experience that I shared with you, right? I never wanted to be in that position again. So I'm like double, triple safe.
That's good. Well, and cash flow is a good thing to talk about too, because I mean, that's the thing is that y- y- it's difficult. I mean, there's a lot of this up and down, right? I mean, if you think about it from a business perspective, from the CEO of a company, like
Yep.
if they're running of this big business, somebody is thinking, well, there's clients dropping, there's clients coming in. Somebody is thinking, I don't know where the next where the next payroll is coming from. Somebody's thinking it.
Yeah.
Now, as an
Yeah.
employee, you might think, oh, well, I have a secure job and so I'm fine. But
Yeah.
when you start to run the business, you now all of a sudden are wearing this hat of like now you know that things are going up and down. So how do you deal with that? Of course you now keep uh, you keep a stash, right, of a year's worth of expenses. But how did you even get that in the first place? Or what if that starts to dwindle? How do you make sure that you keep making more than you're spending?
Great question. So budgeting. I'm going to quote my fantastic financial advisor who taught me how to properly budget, just personally, and then I applied those same kind of rules to my business budget. But just know what your expenses are, know what you need to run the business and stay afloat. I would say for a minimum of 6 months, right? You don't want to go overkill because if you have a lot of cash sitting around that's not working for you, that's not good either. Make your money work for you, right?
Yeah.
Have enough reserve. It's that balancing game. So it depends on the business a lot, right? I don't know what businesses your listeners go into, but some of them might be high ticket that happen at various times throughout the year, but there'll be lull periods. Well, you need to make sure you're prepared for those lull periods.
Yeah.
That's how my business works, right? I might have a couple of, placements and clients, but then there may be 6 months where there's nothing. I need to be okay for those 6 months, right? Maybe you have clients who have more regular, smaller, or even bigger increments that come in monthly because they have, memberships or things like that. Then you can budget differently. Know and understand your cash flow and what's coming in, and know your responsibilities of that you have to keep paying out to keep your business running. And yes, payroll is one of the bigger expenses in most
Hmm.
cases, especially for, remote type of businesses. You don't have a ton of overhead. You don't have real estate, ideally, right? That's why a lot of people like working remotely and the flexibility. But payroll is one of the biggest one. Prepare for that.
Hmm. Yeah. Well, and know your numbers. I mean, that's one of those things, right? I think, actually, let me ask you a question. Why do you think any business owner would not know their numbers?
That's a good question. I don't know that I can answer that question. Maybe,
It's a tough one.
um, maybe they're just not good at keeping track of it, or there's too many other things they're focused on. Um, Maybe they don't know. Then I would say ask for help and hire yourself an accountant who can keep your books straight for you, right? I mean, I have someone who does that for me because that's an area I don't want to worry about every day. I do
Mm,
the high level planning, but the nitty gritty I give to someone else in that department because it just makes sense. I don't want to spend my time in accounting.
yep.
That's not my strength, right? My strength is in coaching people and talking to people and helping them be better. But I guess know what you're good at, maybe,
Yep.
and work in the strength zone rather than in an area where you can't keep track of it. Well, ask for help. I know we have that topic already. It's maybe tough to do, but if
I think that's right. I think that's the way, because uh, I don't know if everybody is a numbers person. I
right,
think most people are
yeah,
probably not numbers people. I don't, I'm a numbers
yep,
person. I like it. I mean, I like it. I look at my numbers every day, more than once a day. I love it. But that's not everybody,
mm-hmm,
and I know it's not everybody. And even my wife doesn't want to look at the numbers like that. She lets me do it. It stresses her out. And so I think that when that comes to play, I think that a lot of people are just like, well, whatever, it'll just work itself out. And it absolutely does not work itself out. The budget doesn't balance itself, right? It's one of those
no,
things where you do need
yeah,
somebody. And like you said, if you have somebody that's working for you, all they have to do is just give you the high level stuff, right?
right,
Because they can handle the nitty gritty of it all and making sure and then they can also start to give you advice. So now you have informed decisions. Can you afford this upgrade to your computer? Ask your guy, right? Like there's
yeah,
a lot of things that will come, and then there's a lot of great salespeople as well that will, come and try to sell you this new whatever it is. And, if you're not asking the right questions, and you don't have somebody that's gonna ask the right questions, then that can that can be messy. Like you can end up in these financial compromising situations where it seems like it's a good deal, but is it a good deal, right?
yeah. I would say as long as your overall strategy is aligned with where you want to go, I think that you need to make sure is right and matches. I don't think you have to look at your numbers every day like you, Tim.
Nope, you don't. I don't.
Unless you actually really enjoy it,
I
that's
love it.
good. I don't. I feel it's a distraction if I do, but maybe check in monthly, check in quarterly, whatever makes sense for your plan. Like how does your business flow? Is it more long term? Is the client journey a pretty long cycle, or do you have a shorter cycle? If you
Yeah.
have a shorter cycle on how you work with your clients, maybe then you need to look at it more often to make sure things are actually right, right?
Yeah. Well, you do have to look at it at least monthly, and I'll give you one reason why is because if there were to be some fraudulent activity on your credit
Yeah,
card,
for
you need
sure.
to notify them within a month. Otherwise you could end up paying for it. So at
It's true.
least once a month, you need to look at that, make sure that you're paying things that you're actually buying and nothing weird is going on in your account. And sometimes it might even be fraud. Could be subscriptions that you don't need anymore that keep on popping up. So there are certain things that need to be looked at. So if it's not you, then somebody on your team needs to be looking at it at least once a month. But
Yeah,
I mean, I am definitely overkill. Like I say, I like it. It's fun. I like numbers. So for me, that's
good for
why I
you.
do it. Right?
Yeah.
But I don't recommend it for everybody else. It stresses them out. Let's talk
Mm.
a little bit about coaches and mentors and all that stuff. Because I mean, you are a coach. You teach people, but do you have a coach?
Of course.
You do.
Every good coach has a coach. I'm a learner. It's one of my top five strengths, and I'm also a teacher. It's always an exchange, just like
Mm,
you and I we're learning from each other, right?
yes,
You're
yes.
teaching me things. Um, I think having a coach is critical. If you look at the successful people, they all had a coach at some point. The
Mm-hmm.
best teams have great coaches, and that's
Mm-hmm.
how they win Super Bowls or World Cups, right?
Mm-hmm.
So I think it's critical. And for me, I got here because I had really great mentors and coaches. I didn't do this by myself, right? And I think it's perfectly fine to admit that. So do you learn from the best? Maybe, but people are brought into your life for a reason, right? It's an attraction.
Yeah.
Teachers show up when the students are ready. And I know I had some great bosses in the past who I learned a lot from in my corporate career. I've had some that were not so great, but they still taught me things,
Mm-hmm.
right? They teach you what not to do.
Yeah,
That's
you're
also
right.
that's also that's also important. Um, and then seeking out people who are good at the thing that you are struggling with. Like me and marketing. Oh, that doesn't mix so well. It's an area that intimidates me. It's an area that I feel weird about. Like, how do I even talk about myself? It's just a challenge, right?
Mm-hmm.
And I'm sure once I hear the recording of this podcast or see it, I'm like, oh my gosh, this is what I sound like. This is what I look like. I can't stand it. I wonder if everybody thinks that, but for me, it's especially bad. It's better not for me to look at it, right? I'll just go and you and I have a conversation. It's better that way. But getting some coaching around the areas where you are not quite feel at home in, I think that's really important to keep stretching yourself out of the comfort zone. That's what a good coach is supposed to do, right? Kind of question your existing thinking and stretch you out. And
Mm-hmm.
it'll feel uncomfortable. It should. It should feel uncomfortable. Because if you do what you always did, don't be surprised if you don't see anything different in your life, right?
Yeah.
If you want to grow to higher levels, if you want to launch a business, if you want to learn a new skill, you're going to have to be prepared to get a little uncomfortable. So I'm a huge fan of that because that's how you grow.
Yep.
And yeah, there'll be some failures, quote unquote, in there. So you stumble and you fall. None of the star football players or, Olympic athletes got there overnight. It takes a lot of practice. It takes a lot of, sweat equity too. It's the same with business, right? So surround yourself with people who have done it and been there and can
Yeah.
share their stories with you.
Yeah,
So
and
you
it
don't make those mistakes.
Yeah, and it's great to have that, even just to have the self-awareness to recognize that you're not going to be good at everything. You can't. Like, I mean, even if we look at sports, I mean, take anybody who's a pro football player and put them in, I don't know, tennis. Are they going to be pro tennis? Maybe if they put the same amount of work into it, right? I mean, it's one of those things where you're good at something, which means you spent a lot of time on it and energy on it, which means you didn't spend a lot of time and energy on something else. And having that awareness of going like, okay, well, I'm good at this, I'm not good at this. I need to find somebody that's going to help me with this. That is huge, right? And I think that that does hold a lot of definitely a lot of entrepreneurs back is they had this thought that, well, it's my business. I need to be doing everything. I need to know everything. But you don't. You can delegate some things, right? You can have other people help
Yeah,
you, right?
for sure, for sure. And that's what coaching really does. I will sit there with you and we'll peel back the layers about what are your strengths. Really become aware of them. I think most people don't spend enough time just taking a step back and really I provide that time and space, that thinking space to really understand here's what I'm good at and here's what I'm not.
Mm-hmm.
Here's what I want to do and here's what I will not. It's hard to really clearly to find that when you're just stuck in your own head.
Mm-hmm.
I think a coach or a mentor, if you're part of a mastermind, if you're not yet, go find one, right? Those are people who ask the right questions that make you go, I've never thought about it this way, or I really ought to look at that. Maybe I do need some help in that area. And then working with a coach will help you get clarity. That's my role, right?
Yeah.
My goal is to help you get to a point of clarity because when you have clarity, ooh, it makes my hair stand up right now, it gives me goosebumps. That's when you know what the right step is, the right next step is. And that you're not going to wander around in confusion or make the wrong choices. You're going to make the right choice if you have clarity. So that's really a coach's role. And I do that with some assessments. We do DISC, we do career questionnaires, and some other entrepreneurial questionnaires that will help you get clarity on what's the right choice for you. So I think coaches are almost mandatory in my life.
Mm.
I've always said in my heart of hearts, I'm a coach, but having one will allow you to rise to higher levels.
Yeah, I agree. Some sort of coach or mentor or somebody who's got your blind spots, right? Because,
Yes.
we all have those blind spots. It just is what it is, right?
Yep. And if you talk to if you listen to any other podcasts at all, and if you listen to like the people who have made it to the top, that's what they all say. They have in common. They found themselves good mentors and coaches.
Yeah.
So that can be, you can go to school and you can get degrees and you can certainly practice makes perfect, right? Do a lot, but you can get there quicker if you have good coaches and mentors.
Yeah. And hey, like listening to podcasts and taking courses, all that is learning from somebody else too. But
Correct.
I guess there's a big difference between, listening to something pre-recorded or going to a structured class versus somebody actually asking you those questions and working with you on one-on-one. There's a very big difference between those two things, right?
Yeah, there's a huge difference.
What do you think would hold people back from getting coaching help or some sort of mentorship?
Oh gosh, lots of things. People think they can't afford it.
Mm,
You have to ask yourself the question, why wouldn't you? What are you giving up by saying that?
mm,
Maybe lack of awareness, lack of time, not really knowing what they're good at. I run into that a lot, actually. People often don't realize all the skill sets that they already have right now, and they think they're not good enough.
yeah.
That is actually probably the biggest one. I should have started with that one. I hate using the word imposter syndrome. It's kind of floating around social media quite a bit. I'm not really sure what that means, but the whole thing of we have those internal voices
Yeah.
that usually tell us that things are a lot worse than they actually are. You know,
Mm,
how not good we are, how stupid this is. You're not fast enough. You're not pretty enough. You're not. Those voices can at times get really loud, and the hard stuff is easy to believe, especially if someone externally tells you, whether it's a parent, whether it's a boss, whether it's a friend who makes some comment. All of a sudden, you own that comment in your head, and it's not even true, right? I
yeah.
I often see my clients surprise themselves on when they realize that, wow, I did that. Yeah, those are my accomplishments. I did all these things and these are my strengths. Own that stuff. Own it.
Yeah. Yeah. And I think that what we do find out over time is that, like you say, the people that have had the success tend to have some help from somebody else, and there's no shame in asking for help, right?
Hmm. Yeah, there is no shame.
Yep. So let's get into that a little bit, into your solo. So tell me what's exciting in your business.
Oh gosh. My business is coaching,
Hmm.
and I am excited to offer something really great to your listeners, especially. If you reach out to me either on my website, majataylor.com, that's MajaTaylor.com, or on social media. Most of the time, I hang out on LinkedIn. I do some Facebook and Instagram too, but mostly LinkedIn.
Hmm.
Um, and you reach out to me, you book a call, I will give you a free disc assessment. So that's
Oh,
an assessment that helps you understand
who you
what are my
are.
strengths. Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. A little bit of how you like to work, how you prefer to communicate. What are some of your motivators and drivers? That's pretty important to understand when you're looking for the right fit for yourself, right? And I will give you a debrief. It's about a $200 value. I'll give you that for free if you reach out.
Wow.
I'm really excited about learning and teaching, and often that starts with self-awareness, right? That's when growth happens, when you become more aware.
Hmm.
So I offer a complimentary learning journey for you to first help you craft your career and your life vision. What is it that you need from your career so you can live the life that you want to live, right? And maybe it's business ownership, maybe it's not. But then we'll explore options and possibilities to help you get there, to meet those goals and vision, right? Everybody's journey and needs are different. I meet you where you are. That's the most exciting thing for me. And I
That's
love seeing those
amazing.
aha moments in people when they see, oh, I can do this. That's my high.
Wow.
So that's
Wow. Yeah, that's amazing. That's an incredibly good gift because I know that those disc assessments are expensive, first of all,
mm,
but also they're so useful. It is so nice it's so great to know where your strengths and weaknesses are, right? And it'll actually open up some ideas of what you could possibly do next. So, who would be like, let's just say, yeah, who would be the best person or the person that would get the most out of working with you?
the person who would get the most out of working with me is the
Well,
person that keeps an open mind.
mm,
So it doesn't matter where you are in your career or in your life, as long as you can keep a learning mindset, you and I are a great fit. People who can't commit to that learning journey, because it is a journey, we're not going to uncover, the world in a half-hour conversation. That just doesn't happen.
yeah.
So being willing to go on the learning journey and commit the time. When you work with me, there's always going to be some homework because in coaching, the growth actually happens in between the sessions. So be prepared for that too. And then we'll see if you have the entrepreneurial itch. Hopefully, we can find you a venture that you can be successful in and thrive. I'm willing to bet that there is one.
Oh yeah.
And if you don't, then we'll go in a different direction.
Love that. I love that. Yeah, because I mean, if you've got this learning mindset and now you go find out what your strengths and weaknesses are, and you're open to finding out, doing the homework and all that stuff, then there's definitely something for you. Because I mean, that's just the type of personality that's going to see some success, right?
Yeah, for sure, for
That's
sure.
awesome. So how do we find out more then?
You find out more by going on my website, majataylor.com,
Mhm.
or look me up on LinkedIn. And let's have a chat and see if it makes sense to work together.
Awesome. Last question. This might be the hardest one.
Okay.
Are
Ooh.
you a music fan? Who's your favorite rock star?
Oh boy, that is hard. Who's my favorite rock star? I'm gonna date myself now. Um, I don't know if you consider them a rock star, but Depeche Mode is probably my
Oh,
favorite band. They were my first English-speaking band that I listened to in Frankfurt, Germany. I am from Germany. So that was a big, big event. And was it last year? They came to Philly. And I saw them there live again, and they were just as amazing as back then. That was a
wow.
good, good concert.
Wow, Depeche Mode. That's awesome. Right
Yeah.
on. And I'm so happy you got to see them. That's good.
Me too. I'm glad they're still singing. It was phenomenal, actually.
That's
Yeah.
awesome. Well, thank you so much, Maya, for rocking out with me today. This has been a lot of fun.
Thank you, Tim, for having me. You are a lot of fun. And well, keep up the great conversations. I really love
Awesome.
listening to you.
Great. To the listeners, make sure you go to workathomerockstar.com for more information, and we'll see you next time on the Work at Home Rockstar podcast.